Well, hello there. This is Father Dominic coming to you from Holy Trinity Parish in Beaverton, Oregon. And as you can tell, I haven't been feeling that well. I got sick this last week. Came down with something on Wednesday, I believe, and got pretty much sort of knocked down Thursday. Started to get a little bit better on Friday. Saturday was good enough to be up and about, and Sunday I've been somewhat on the job. Went over and celebrated Mass at St. Cecilia's this morning, and then was there a little bit around the 11:15. You might have seen me there. So I had a lot of fun things planned this week that we could talk about for these videos, and of course none of that panned out because of the sickness. So I thought maybe I'd talk today a little bit about sickness itself, what it means to be sick, what that means for us, and maybe what the spiritual implications of that might be. Sickness is something that's difficult. I would always think about, especially when I was in religious life or in seminary, think, oh, if I was sick, then I could have a lot of time off. But of course, when you're actually sick, you don't feel like doing anything. And that was certainly the case on Wednesday and into Thursday. I just really felt terrible. Didn't want to do anything. I watched things just to sort of keep my mind off of the sickness, but that was pretty much it. It wasn't enjoyable or relaxing at all. I couldn't really sleep. I think it was a cold of some sort. I took some COVID tests. Father dropped off 2 of those on my doorstep. So I took 2 of those, and they both came out strongly negative, so we'll assume that it was just a cold that's going around. But there it is. So I've been dealing with that. I'm drinking broth, trying to keep hydrated, get my minerals. We always read The Imitation of Christ when I was in high school seminary. And in The Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis, which is one of the classical spiritual works of Christianity, Thomas à Kempis says, don't wait until you are sick to convert. He says very often sickness doesn't make us better. And I think that is the experience of being sick, is we think, oh, maybe when I'm sick or when I'm not well or when I'm old or whatever, putting off what we should do or putting off our conversion. And I think that he's right. It doesn't make us better. You think, oh, when I'm sick, I'll do this or I'll do that or I'll have time to pray. And it's kind of really hard to do anything, and you don't really feel like doing anything. So that was kind of my experience of being sick, was just that blah. But it also did make me think about a lot of things. And it did make me think about my life, and it made me grateful for my life. Grateful for health, grateful for all these things that we take advantage. When you're not sick, you don't think about not being sick, because you're just not sick, you're just normal. We don't experience something until we have its absence. When you're full, unless you're very full, you usually don't think about being full. You don't think about water unless you're thirsty, and then you don't think about not being thirsty. And so that's the way it is most of the time. We go through our life kind of assuming that all these things are just the way they are, and instead we have this experience once in a while of being sick, and then hopefully we can be grateful, we can appreciate those things. That's kind of what I talked about today in my homily at St. Cecilia's. Well, as I said, it was all about stewardship, this word stewardship, which I don't like because it's kind of a jargony church word. We hear it bandied about so much that it just becomes meaningless, sort of bounces off our mind. But what does it mean to be a steward? What does it mean to be entrusted with things that are not ours. We don't have people called stewards, but we have caretakers, we have managers, we have people who do these different jobs. They're not the owner, but they do a job for the owner. They take care of things for the owner. And that's the way we are supposed to be with everything, because everything that we've received is a gift. Nothing here really belongs to us, you know. Our stuff doesn't belong to us. Our houses don't belong to us. Our money doesn't belong to us. Our children don't belong to us. Our own life, my own life, it doesn't belong to me. It's no thanks to me that I have this life. I can't take credit for it. I can't take ownership of it. It's been entrusted to me as a gift. All this has been given to me as a gift. And I'm going to be asked to make an account for that gift. I'm going to be asked what I have done with that gift. I'm going to have to render an account before God of how I've used this incredible gift that He's given me. That's what our life is. And that's what it means to be a steward. What it means to be a steward is to have all of these things on trust from God as a gift, and then to make an account for those things. And so I told the people at St. Cecilia's that perhaps something that could help us more than anything else in this attempt to treat everything like a gift is a spirit of gratitude, a spirit of thankfulness. You know, if we received everything as a gift, the only proper response can be to give thanks for these things that we've received, to be grateful for all these things that we've been given. And an experience like being sick, you know, it makes you grateful for being well. It makes you grateful for your health. And again, why am I usually healthy? Some people aren't. Some people suffer with chronic illness all their life, and each one of us, well, could pass through that. We don't know that. But the fact that today I'm getting better, that's a gift from God. And I have to say thank you. Thank you, Lord, for that gift. Thank you for allowing me to get better. Thank you for giving me one more day. I don't have to have this day. I don't have to have any of this. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to have these things. Thank you for giving me these incredible things, which are not mine, which I can use. Help me to have a spirit of gratitude and a spirit of generosity, and to give back abundantly from these things that you've given me. All right, well, until next time.